part, I shall be gracious and communicate perhaps/sing only in the English, because I recognize that I've got an audience larger than my insignificant countrymen. Because you've made yourselves insignificant in thine eyes. Why have you made yourself insignificant in thine eyes? Because you have seen it fit to decimate thine future. Because you done decimated thine owns. People who have gone on right ahead to utterly shatter their futures, their destinies. People who are sitting around in squalor of fortune. Spiritual poverty, bankruptcy from here to Timbuktu. It ain't my baby that is you, but what is definitely my baby is me trying to help you understand that you don't get to pull the rug from under people's feet because you made a mistake and loved the devil, lay with him every night for 10 years straight, and now that you think he snores unsuspectingly, you then want to come all up in our grills, those of us who have not made those mistakes, and plaster us with your devil thing that you did without recognizing the errors that you've made. I'm tired of my dreams, guys. I'm like, even with me singing, even with me in Sekilipiziki Opela, I apologize, I won't speak my languages. Alright, I'll try and stick to English from this part because it's the second one. There is a lot of pain in my heart. There is a lot of sorrow in my soul. I'm tired of repeating the same thing over and over again. I'm exhausted of speaking the same message over and over again. And frankly, I don't even know how to keep doing the same work, recording the same message, to keep doing the same work, recording the same messages, because I keep getting the same attacks, the same dreams, the same strategies, the same hopes to do the same thing that people have been just doing. First of all, let me just put this out there. Okay, so I got a dream. I'm just going to give you a brief understanding of that dream. It basically had something to do with me trying to apply for a job in corporate South Africa again and hitting a brick wall yet again because of all of these curses that are operating. Human individuals. The only reason why any such witchcraft would be thrown in my direction is because of the observation, apparently allegedly, of the fact that I'm going nowhere on my YouTube, and so I can never ever make money as a content creator or whatever. My thing about that is, even the loss of my job from MTN was not because witches were successful. It was because God was putting me in a test, and God was throwing people into a strong delusion. People was making people realize that, so this is what you like to do? Okay. Well, this is what it produces. And it was supposed to yield repentance. It was supposed to cause people to repent. Upon realizing how many lives you've destroyed, you don't just get to carry on normally, jumping up and down in these streets like a kangaroo, without guilt. It has caught up with people. It has made them uneasy. What country they have created with their dark magic. They don't like it. It was meant to cause repentance. But instead of repenting, what's currently happening among these people operating in the occult is a repeat of the same things that they did, trying to get other people to join them in the bandwagon they're in. Other people have not experienced severe regret from being devilish. They now want them all to experience their devilish lives. All the compromises they walked in that are now bearing them some pretty horrible fruit. They want to bring everybody else into that bandwagon. In this dream, I had applied for a job and I had gotten far in some interview processes, and at the last minute they made a decision to just be very rude to me and kick me out and leave me on the street while employing other people with whom I was also interviewing at the same time, in my face, to rub it in my face and make me realize or feel like South Africa has thrown me out and vomited me. And in that dream, I then went back to exactly this thing that I'm doing, trying again. So basically demotivating me through a cycle of abuse. Except I know where to go. The Lord is a lamp to my feet. I also know where not to go. And one thing that is certain, that I have been communicated to long ago, and that's why I have even stopped trying putting my CV on the market, is the fact that I am not going back to corporate any country. Whether it is South Africa, whether it is America, whether it is Mexico, it doesn't matter. I am not going back into the system. I am not going back into organized employment. I'm not going back to that because I was supposed to be rescued from it in order to, fish people out from a mindset. You only are worth the while if you are gainfully employed by the country's systems. Due to the fact that the reason why God did that was because it's the last days, and we're headed towards a time in all of the history of the human race where people will not be able to buy or sell, partake in commerce essentially, unless they have taken a mark on their forehead or on their right hand. And that whole system is already operating in a spiritual sense, even though it's not physically rolled out yet, where people mistreat people now based on their ability to buy or sell on earth. And the thing that causes them to leave a person out of the system is their faith in Jesus Christ. People hope to get me to the place where I have compromised entirely, because I am apparently scared that I can't buy or sell. My YouTube channel is frozen by the US of America. So too is my Facebook. Any social media, basically everything I'm trying to do, I'm being blocked on a channel that is only for fitness. So it's not a truth channel. I'm not saying anything taboo. They've shadow banned me there too. The system of the beast is here. I lost my job. I explained that whole thing that happened yesterday. I did not want to labor. I did not want to get all intense and hard knock in an explanation, for crying out loud, as to what happened to me at MTN, because I've told that story a million times. But I took it out of me and I spoke the story anyway. And if you listened to yesterday's session of chatting, that whole series, if you listened, you will recall that I basically explained how it is that I was unfairly dismissed and gratuitous violence was effected against me, trumped up charges, illegal activity in broad daylight in front of people, cost me my whole career. And I told you about how it is that somehow I am blacklisted in South Africa from ever working again. I explained that whole thing, and that which happened to me back then, that taboo thing that happened to me. People are trying to get me to try again in a space of that nature, so that I will come out so flat that now all of a sudden all of this fuss, they're trying to take fuss out of me. All of this fuss in my bones. Oh, Garaba, you're so fussy. I mean, come on. It's not like the guy's still married, he's divorced. Oh, Garaba, you're so fussy. I mean, come on. I mean, he's just got like 2 kids. Oh, Garaba, you're being fussy. I mean, come on. He wants to love you even if he doesn't understand Jesus all that well. Garaba, I mean, come on. Yeah, no. Trying to get me to compromise or to settle. Draining fuss out of me by making me try again in a place where I've tried and I ultimately downed tools because God showed me you're not going back there, because I'm using you to show people the system that is coming, where people are not going to be able to buy or sell unless they've got a mark, and how it starts, what the beginning stages of it looked like in that dream. People that were kind to me, sweet, talking to me, as soon as I just got suddenly cut off, severed from any service at all, they were no longer talking to me. They were no longer regarding me. They were avoiding me. They were ashamed to be in my presence. And that's all happened to me. All that does is confirm to me that we're at the very end of the end, the very last days. That's all that it does. But it does not make me feel like, ooh, maybe I should consider anything that comes my way. It does not make me compromise. It just confirms to me where I find myself. So I am aware with every bone in my body that I will never go back to corporate South Africa. I would never go back even if somebody tapped on my shoulder and asked me to go back, because it would be inevitable, the level of persecution that I am currently enduring, to go through it again in that space. I would only be there for 5 seconds and then get so badly abused that I would get taken out again. I would get squeezed out again. So my life is one where I have got to prosper, to be an independent financially from the typical system of my country, or I will never be okay again. I cannot be getting paid by a South African enabled anything. A South African bank made a decision to close my account because money was not coming in. Thankfully, however, that would be FNB. And FNB, my account money was not coming in for only like 3 months, and they closed my account. Thankfully, Standard Bank has stayed strong with me, by my side, no matter what. And I'm grateful. I've basically made a lifetime choice, like forever, just based on the fact that they were there for me during a lowly season. Only one bank has not closed my accounts in this entire time, or given me grief in opening an account in this entire time. Based on my poverty and my squalor, I've been given attitude by ABSA, I've been given attitude by Nedbank, and my account also was closed by Nedbank, and I've also been given attitude twice by FNB. The 4 major banks in this country. So because of the loyalty of Standard Bank, I will, even upon making a whole bunch of money, never leave them. But the fact that Standard Bank is the only bank account that cares about the fact that, or rather that acknowledges that people go through a rough patch but they could come back. The fact that it's the only bank in the country that holds out on its customer base and does not just close their accounts when there's no money in their accounts says a lot about the fact that the mark of the beast system, is crawling into every facet of society, and there is only a remnant of institutions on the earth that the Lord has touched by his amazing grace and Holy Spirit to still operate like they used to back in the day, before everybody was forced into this silly antichrist mode. Only a remnant, and the Lord has preserved what I believe to be one major bank in the country, and that's Standard Bank. There was even some woman that bewitched the living daylights out of me from South Africa that initially started out okay with me, claiming to be a Christian. I told her the same thing too. She was struggling with some issues financially, and she was hitting brick walls with financial institutions, her bank, and I believe the bank that she banked with was ABSA. And I told her, and ABSA, they was just giving her grief in some regard. I don't need to give you the details of what was going on, but it was kind of what is the word that I'm looking for? Discriminatory, the way that ABSA was treating her. And I told her, move your salary and everything to Standard Bank. You will have an easygoing time, because I thoroughly believe that the Lord has set apart Standard Bank of South Africa, that bank and that bank only, to be faithful to Christians until the rapture, to be faithful to people that cannot abide or obey the system, like mindless drones. Because that's what the Lord will do. He has preserved just that bank. There's got to be some institutions prior to the rapture. Ultimately, every last one of them is going to fall, including Standard Bank, in the tribulation. Because the whole world's systems are going to be messed up against Christians in the tribulation. But in the run-up to, when the Antichrist system, the beast system, is being built, the Lord will preserve some institutions. And in South Africa, Standard Bank is that bank. In South Africa, Standard Bank is that bank, and I came to make that discovery because they have been very lenient with me, even in terms of bank charges, despite my poverty, despite the, what's the word that I am looking for? Inconsistent depositing of money into that account, and with months of there being a dry patch. I have not been lambasted by the bank for that. I have not been given ridiculous charges, and Standard Bank was the only bank that, even though I was unemployed, was prepared to open for me a check account. So it tells me that God has chosen Standard Bank in South Africa. Other nations, Christians, have got a responsibility to figure out what bank that is, but there will definitely be somebody that is a remnant. There will definitely, in every field, in every institution or industry across the countries, there will always be 1 or 2 or 3 businesses that have not been made to bow down to Baal. You know how when Elijah was crying in the wilderness, saying, God, kill me because this woman Jezebel is busy killing your prophets, and then so take my life. And then the angel of the Lord said to Elijah, get up and eat, for your journey is still too great. And somewhere along the way, he is also encouraged that besides, there are 7,000 others that have not knelt to Baal. There are 7,000 other prophets that have not knelt to Baal. The Lord then also fed Elijah ravens twice a day during a drought in all of Israel. He was fed by birds twice a day, brought food twice a day, and he was drinking water by the brook. When the water ran out, Elijah then traveled to the widow at Zarephath, another place, and her flour and her oil never ran out after she made Elijah some food with the last remaining flour and oil that she had. And then she ended up having a bottomless supply of such products. So the widow at Zarephath was spared, even though she was among the people that were judged by this drought. She was spared because of servicing the needs of Elijah. And God kept her bottomless in terms of her supplies in the house. However, in the run-up to, there was a supernatural provision with ravens and then just a little pool of water that Elijah could drink from. All right, prior to that. So Elijah also was raptured, right? So you can anticipate that before the rapture happens, there will be and end times type signs all over the show. And the Antichrist system, the only reason why it thrives as quickly as it does as soon as the tribulation commences is because it was already being built in the run-up to the tribulation. So there will already be Christians that are experiencing what is this tribulation type persecution. There will already be people that are already experiencing bizarre mistreatment of their person by institutions in their countries. And these observations have already been made, by the way, across all of Europe, across like in Australia. Like for instance, is it Barclays Bank? And I'm not surprised because ABSA in our country, South Africa, is linked to Barclays. It's closing branches all across the country to a point where it's very hard to find ATMs by regular citizens on the ground. I follow a lot of YouTube channels of secular guys and girls that aren't in Christ, that don't really know what's going on, but that are covering these anomalies. They have made observations, and so their channels are dedicated towards weird things happening in their economies. And I follow them because I realize that nations are building the Antichrist system, and unbeknownst to themselves, what's ultimately going to be the case for all of us in fulfilling Bible prophecy. But God has preserved certain institutions to not yet bow down to Baal. There are 7,000. It's a small number, but it is nonetheless comfort for Christians in this time, just like Elijah prior to his own rapture. 7,000 others that have not knelt to Baal. So don't ask to die, because you still have a job to do. And there are other people also doing the same job as you. While you are still roaming these streets, I will always avail for you a widow at Zarephath. I will always avail for you ravens that are going to feed you twice a day and drink water out from a brook. I will always avail your basic necessities to you. But it is going to get rougher and rougher, because at the end of the day, you are Elijah living in the midst of a drought. So it's not going to be easy, but you will have all that you need. So what I'm trying to explain to you guys is that I am aware that South Africa is never going to embrace me again as a country. It's not going to pay my salary ever again. I've been thrown out. I've been spat out. The beast system has reached my country. It has reached all of our countries. And there are Christians who are already feeling it. Currently, in America, the USA, the world's freest nation, apparently, allegedly, the land of the free. That's what they call themselves. There are, what is the word that I'm looking for? God, please bring it to me. Non-profit organizations who are having their bank accounts closed. And the bank is telling them, give us some other, either another bank account or whatever, so we can transfer the funds that were in your bank account to you, but we don't want you banking with our bank. Or we'll pay you cash, whatever. But we're closing your non-profit. Like some Christian organization that was doing humanitarian work in Africa. A bank in the US closed their bank account because they said that their ideology or their rhetoric, whatever it is that they stand for, it goes against the values of the bank. And it just so happened to be a Christian organization that had their bank account closed all of a sudden. This happened in America and is happening in America, but against quite a few people. Same thing is also happening in Europe. So when FNB just closed my account, my heart was broken. But when Standard Bank stood with me, and it has been the only bank in this country, the only major bank in this country that has not persecuted me in some way. Even Investec has persecuted me in this time. Just at the very beginning of my journey, when I was still trying to get my shares from MTN, etc., I got very badly, violently persecuted by Investec. And Investec is a private bank. So Investec is gone, ABSA's gone, Nedbank is gone, FNB is gone. I can't really speak for Capitec or all these other banks, right, that are a little bit smaller, because I have not experienced anything at their hands. But when Capitec in particular, I'll tell you this much. During Pride Month, when is it, June or July or whatever, their Pride Month, it's June. I would know that. Now that I'm thinking, our June in South Africa is Youth Month, because it aligns or correlates with Youth Day. Hector Peterson passed away during the Soweto uprisings, etc. And Youth Day is around commemorating the memory of that massacre, that sorrow back in the day. June 16. And it's a big thing in the country. It's a public holiday. The June 16 itself is a public holiday in the country. and it's a very big deal. On June 16, in corporates all over South Africa, people rock up in the office wearing school uniform to commemorate the day. Yeah, it's a very near and dear, held tight holiday for us, and it has got significant historical undertones, memories. We have overcome a lot. We strove under apartheid and conquered. It is something that is worthy of banks dedicating their logos for the month of June every single year for the rest of South Africa's life, for the rest of South Africa's future. In June this year, June of 2023, Pride Month, which is also Youth Month in South Africa, with June 16 in particular being Youth Day. ABSA and Capitec, I was speaking about Capitec right now. Capitec decided to brand its logo with the colors of the LGBTQIA plus community. That the C, yeah, Capitec was the rainbow in commemoration of Pride Month. So for the whole month of June, the whole month in our nation that is South Africa, Capitec, that bank, commemorated rather Pride Month instead of Youth Month. Completely threw away our heritage in favor of a global agenda. So, I mean, stuff like these, that's what I'm saying. It's about being sober, being vigilant, recognizing that your adversary, the devil, prances around like a roaring lion, seeking whomever he might devour. But if you're sober, these things won't catch you unawares. We are not caught unawares like those who sleep. Understand? We see these things. So when Capitec disregarded Youth Month in favor of Pride Month, we gauged as Christians in this nation, however few of us there may be, that it's here to us, with us. So Capitec is a bank that, albeit having been one of the last banks to grow itself in this country, it's relatively young in comparison to all the other banks. Despite that, it is already on board. It's already on board with the global agenda. So I wouldn't be surprised if Capitec is also in the business of closing bank accounts for dumb reasons. I wouldn't be surprised if Capitec is just like ABSA, just like FNB, just like, what is this other bank, Nedbank. I wouldn't be surprised. But Standard Bank is not that thing. So I advised that woman, before she became a nemesis of mine, to move her salary to Standard Bank, to move her banking to Standard Bank, because there she will be ensconced as a Christian. Didn't realize that she wasn't even a Christian in the first place. She wasn't saved. She was into witchcraft, evidencing yet another phenomenon of the last days, otherwise known as the Great Apostasy. Great Apostasy. So really and truly, when this is the world that you're living in, and God has shown you what it is that He has shown you, what is the point or purpose, for crying out loud, of freaking out when you try to apply for a job in the beast system as a Christian and you get vomited out? Of course. I mean, it's actually quite it would be considered brazen. It would be considered, what do you call this? Brazen is not the word that I'm looking for. Ambitious, thank you. It would be considered ambitious if I went and applied for a job in corporate South Africa as a project manager again. It would be considered It would be considered ambitious. 1 minute. I had to wipe some of that stuff off and put some labello on so that it just stays. Alright, it would be considered highly ambitious of me these days if I threw my CV out on the market actually expecting anybody to call me. Like I'm naive. Yeah, I would be gazed upon as one who is naive. Similarly too, a Christian trying to get fed in the tribulation by someone in the beast system, trying to get food, trying to get money, trying to get shelter, trying to get their landlord to not evict them from where it is that they're staying, would be considered naive, because compassion and mercy, basic things that keep us as societies, as human beings going, would be nowhere to be found. It would be one of those, but I mean, you know what you need to do. You know what you need to do, Peter Paul, to, make your life easier, for you to be able to get bread, for you to finally be able to successfully interview for a job interview. Just take the mark. Just take the mark. Yeah, causing everybody, great and small, bond and slave. Bond and free, to get a mark put on their right hand, on their forehead, or on their right hands. These things are not only coming, but they're here. But the whole situation is going to magnify at the very end of the end. I.e. in the tribulation, but it's already commenced. It has already started. So given that I am not with a vain ambition, and given that I am also not with a naivety dwelling in my bones, I'm not going to go and put my CV on the market in corporate South Africa, understanding that I have already been targeted as an experiment for the beast system, so as to frustrate me to see if it works, to cause a person so much frustration in moving from pillar to post to try and get stuff done until she eventually does what we want her to do. Is she gonna capitulate? I'm an experiment, for crying out loud. They have chosen their targets, and they're largely Christian, and they will frustrate us until kingdom come. But God is wise, he's big, and he sees this, and so therefore he has told us, I've sent you out in the world as a sheep among wolves. Therefore be innocent as a dove, though shrewd as a snake. So it is not wise, neither shrewd, neither successfully innocent, to just keep knocking on the door like a beggar in an environment where people are saying, you don't even gotta beg, you just gotta compromise. Just compromise, just give yourself away, karabo. Ditch what you believe. Then we'll give you a job. You'll find yourself working again, and in no time you'll be promoted, since you are very smart. In no time, yeah. That's exactly how people are going to be caused to take the mark of the beast. Told that you don't even have to beg. Just do this. So essentially, if you refuse to do whatever it is that they want you to do, you will then end up begging. But listen to what David has to say about what God has to say about Christians. I was young, and then I was old, yet never had I seen the righteous forsaken, nor their children begging for bread. David was young, and then he was old, yet never had he seen the righteous forsaken, nor their children begging for bread. So if I were to knock on the doors of corporate South Africa today, it would be the equivalent of the tantamount of begging. And frankly, according to the scriptures, I don't gotta do any of that. I don't have to beg, because I belong to the God of the universe. I belong to the one true God. That's what is effectively true right now. And so because I don't have to beg, I rather find them all naive to try and get me to a point of begging. I am recovered to God, meaning that I'm not perishing for a lack of knowledge. People, however, do perish for a lack of knowledge. My people perish for a lack of knowledge. And because of that, I will cut them off from inheriting the land. I will cut them off from the land. I am about to inherit the land. And so I'm not freaking out and fronting over this fleeting planet. And when I am locked out of structures, I recognize that, I guess it's that time now. But even in that time, just like Elijah, even in a time when a drought has been declared on a land, like Elijah, I'm gonna be fed twice a day by the ravens, and I will drink water by the brook, and when the brook runs dry, I will be sent to the widow at Zarephath, and I will eat there, and I will drink there, and I will be merry. I will live, I will survive in a world where everybody is passing away. 1,000 will fall on my right hand, and 10,000 will fall on my left, and 10,000 on my right hand, but it will not come near me. Because I have trusted the Lord, I will be delivered. That which afflicts all of them, that which causes all of their dominoes to tip, is not going to cause me to fall. So the capitulation by everybody else that is being successfully experimented on is only because they have not held on to Jesus. They have not trusted the Messiah. They have brokered a deal with the devil, and so found themselves in a job again. Everyone who, after a season of being frustrated, then decides to go ayos vakashali sangoma to help their ways along. Ukuba hlangula, ukuba buyisela inhlanhla zabo, bonke labantu bazithengisile to uSathani, and they've got a grand incentive to repent, since now they've been given wisdom to understand what actually happened over there. They were made to take the mark of the beast in a way that they don't recognize, because it's not yet a chip in the brain or a chip in the hand. It is presently a decision you make to walk away from Jesus and start using witchcraft because you're frustrated, or walk away from Jesus and settle for some wicked relationship just so you can eat bread, just so you can be okay. Embracing the proposal of a man you're not even in love with just so he can pay your bills, just so you don't have to live in your mother's house. I'm literally being pursued, guys. I don't love them and I never can, but they don't care that I don't love them. I don't know how many times I keep hearing on a loop, Binaya Tina Turner, whoa, what's love got to do with it? Because these men are like, you don't gotta love me, I just want you. So now they don't even care if there's no reciprocity. Just insofar as he's able to have a wife in his house that he wants, whether or not she wants him is irrelevant. Reciprocity is not important. All that matters is respect. I guess that's just the thing with men. They honor or they appreciate respect more than they appreciate love. So if a woman doesn't love them, it's okay. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter insofar as you respect me. So come into my house and act like you love me, and that's enough. That's why men can take in their stride arranged marriages in a way that women struggle with it. They don't care about love. They don't care about being appreciated, doted over. They don't even care when a woman is low-key rolling her eyes when he's having sex with her. Insofar as he gets respect, he's good. And so I've got men literally trying to marry me, conquer me, get me in their houses. And even though I don't love them, whoa, what's love got to do? You don't gotta love me, but just be in my house. Yeah, a woman would have real issues with that. A woman would have qualms with not being loved by her man. Because that's the kind of stuff that can bust a cap in the knee of confidence, of self-confidence in a woman. But in a man, whatever. Just don't disrespect me. But I don't care if you're young. Men are like that. It's weird. Like, I don't know why they don't insist on reciprocity sometimes. But with women, it's really important. So for me to be with a man, okay, yes, like it, guys. Yo, man just grunting on you every night while you roll your eyes. While you low-key cry, while you vomit in your mouth, I'm sorry, I can't. But so there are women who are thoroughly allowing themselves to be arranged marriaged brides of men that are humping them every single night, but I'm feeling anything. Just so I can be protected, I can be safe. I have a friend who belonged to the Jehovah's Witness cult that entered into a marriage like that. Arranged. And just for the sake of pleasing family, whatnot, she allowed herself to be an unhappy woman that a man is just like, ooh, I'm so lucky to have this girl. Even though this girl, frankly, would have married anybody else. Before Anyala, she was making out kissing without getting to the point of breaking her virginity because it was important that she stayed a virgin at marriage. With every random guy here in Johannesburg, it's like she was juicing feelings as much as possible. With guys she actually did like, that she couldn't marry, and then ended up married to one that she did not care about, that was arranged for her, that was a Jehovah's Witness. And so because of that, she turned into a witch. She turned into an evil woman. Because her parents made her the kind of wife that a man grunts on every night, burps, rolls over, while she turns around, sleeps in a fetal position, and every morning has to look at him on some yes dear. When he kisses her, she's like, she you know that squeamish face, where you're just like, you bring your cheek to a guy. This disgusting stuff like that. And I'm expected to because I'm sorrowful. Really, a woman must be protected, shielded, and covered. And if a man can do that for you, you need to get over your pipe dreams. You need to get over your fairy tale romance naivety in the brain, and just let somebody just feel like grant. What motivation will you even have to keep on working out? Because the more toned and firm your body is, the more Njefela is going to want to grunt over you. So you would let yourself go over his door and become unattractive until he walks away, until he stops looking at you. Who in the world wants that? I prayed, Mina, for a man that loves me, the way that Christ loved the church, as indeed I ought have been able to pray such a prayer as that to a God that I trust loves me enough to give me what I ask for in prayer. And yet there are men who are thoroughly trying to grunt on me. Some men just feel like that. I'm going to be like, on the wedding day, got this guy. But right now his smile is beaming. Basically the opposite of, what do you call this, Muriel's wedding. You know how Muriel's wedding was this like whole thing. In the movie, the guy needed an Australian passport or something. He was an athlete and he could not compete unless he got married, and Muriel was arranged for him. And he was like vomiting in his mouth and basically squeamish on the wedding day, while Muriel was like, she was so happy, so excited on her wedding day, but he wasn't. He was just like, this is a contract and this woman grosses me out. I don't like her. So I would basically be like that guy in Muriel's wedding, marrying some rando or tabileng, nna kinyongile. Mara, hey, guess what? I'm a woman that is now 40. I don't have a choice. So like Muriel's husband, I gotta just ride out this thing, live in a house with some dude I can't stand. I think he's got a bad breath, and like it only takes one walk up the stairs for him to smell really badly with body odor. But I'm married to him. Yar, you're naive. A woman, therefore, that allows herself to get married in that state, even though she didn't want to, just so she can eat, is pretty much the tantamount of selling your soul to the devil. You are settling. You're taking whatever in your stead. I don't gotta beg to a point, Mina, of ending up like Muriel's husband in Muriel's wedding. No. I know who I'm waiting on, and I know what I'm waiting for on him, and I know what I'm looking at, and I understand my ecosystem, my environment. I get it. I understand everything that's happening, and so because of that, I rather find those that are trying to make out of me, like Muriel's husband, naive. I find it naive. just this like your rituals perpetually wire on some uzogcina ngitshadile and akenandaba ukuthi angimthandile nje yakhona ngoba mina ngizoba desperate enough ngicine ngitshade inja that I can't stand. Uyanginukela lo muntu kodwa ngimtshadile. Yeah guys, I got like what? Anyway, you know, I'd like whatever. Let's just drop that. That whole thing, I'm not so naive so as to anticipate my life or my future is doomed if I don't settle. I'm not naive because I am in Christ. My eyes have been opened. And so I'm not going to go in corporate South Africa and allow my heart to be so crushed that now I am married to Inja Engingaifuni. Now I'm married to some rando. Kehla njengayazi. Some dude wa halitosis. Akitsebe. Gap. Mama maharanga menwa haye. Ayelo. Akitsebe. Mara ke monyetsi. Wang patla kankane. Ke mosadi wa tweba e ke sa tlhaloganyeng. It'll never happen. It'll never happen. But the entitlement to me is inspired by the observation of how many people have settled. And the difference between me and those people is exactly Jesus Christ. He has forewarned in advance that these things would happen. And so there is no way that I'm going to end up like Muriel's husband. Kengile nya vomita in my mouth on my wedding day. Because I'm about to go and kiss a man I don't like. I think he smells. But hey, he's got money. And I get to go shopping. Yeah, okay, do you, ne? And as for the belief that I'm gonna be perpetually frustrated inside in corporate South Africa, trying to get a job there, no, it'll never happen because I'm not going back there. I was made clear to understanding by God that I'm not going back to corporate South Africa. It's not happening. I'm not going back because there is no safety for me in that environment. For me, that's a prophecy for me personally. I'm not saying everybody must quit their jobs. Goodness gracious, you will starve. Don't do it. If you're not being persecuted, ungahambi. But as for me, umsebenzi wami is different. What I'm doing is different. And I will eventually get to a point where I'm making money. But South Africa, this random, flaccid, lackluster, lukewarm, fallen, apostate country is not going to pay even a single cent towards my recovery. It's not going to pay a single cent towards my recovery. The US is. I've told you, I don't know how many times, that random country is eventually going to set my YouTube channel free. Make that a plural. It's going to set my fitness free. It's going to set every channel of mine, pretty much, it's going to make a ubiquitous decision to stop censoring so many people ubiquitously across the show. In particular, YouTube is going to do this. Facebook, I'm not really sure. I'm waiting on the Lord concerning Facebook. I've asked him about Facebook. I'm not getting an answer. But I know for a fact that YouTube is going to do better. When? I don't know. And as soon as YouTube does better, because my content is such high quality, that's what you must understand, it always has been. I'm not going to struggle to get monetized. It's not going to take me months. It's not going to take me a whole year. I'm not going to, just pushing myself along very uncomfortably. No. From the moment they make that decision, within something like 2 months, I'm going to be monetized, and my salary is going to keep growing and growing and growing and growing. Off of my fitness channel, they will still persecute and surveil and not shadow ban, that too. But what I wanted to say was demonetize truth channels based on misinformation, what they imagine to be misinformation, disinformation, whatever, or people whose narrative they don't want proliferated. But they're not going to have an excuse to do that to people who are doing baking channels. Like it's becoming evident that YouTube is targeting individuals to a point where even if you're doing fitness content, even if you're doing cycling content, even if you're doing like making like a carpentry, making tables, if they have identified you as a person, just like that bank in the US that decided to go and close the bank account of that non-profit organization, they're just going to close you up. And that's what YouTube has done to me. They've closed even my fitness. But the day's going to arrive when they set people free in other pursuits across the internet. However, they will still maintain their anti-misinformation, whatever that even means, drives. So people will still be getting demonetized. People will still be getting shadow banned. People will still be getting squelched, stymied, smothered. Who are in truth channels, people who are in a position to speak about the disease in the world or about religion. Religions are going to be surveilled. So that's why I have said this, and I don't know how many times I have said this across multiple channels of people that I follow, that I like. I have commented in their channel saying, I hope you've got another source of income. I hope this is not paying your bond. I hope this is not paying for your car installment. I hope this is not paying for your child's school fees. Use some other talent of yours to make money, because they are about to double down and heavy on truth channels, on people that are reporting what is called news. They are going to double down on them. So religions across the world, channels of religions, be it Christianity or whatever, channels of truth sharers, people who are speaking, reporting on truth events, their channels are really going to be honed in on. So religion and news commentary and what is this, like celebrity commentary, you know, talking about Beyonce or whatever. If you're just talking about a regular human being, real people, that stuff, the people are going to be, the system is going to start targeting people based on what they say in truth channels. What is this? Things like the non-fiction, never mind non-fiction, but also talent channels where it is that you're sewing, you're knitting, you're cycling, you're biking, you're baking, you are making a carpet, you're making a dress. They're gonna leave you alone. They're targeting such people they're not supposed to. It's becoming noticed by those people. There will be enough of a sorrow. Another sorrow is a very heavy word, but fear in American leadership on what it is that people will successfully make an observation as to the targetedness of individual people, and not so much what they are saying or doing, targeting them to a point of following them around everywhere they go. In other words, even if they do a baking channel, if they do a voiceover and you recognize their voices, if they do a cycling video and you recognize their faces, if you, anything at all that comes from just a certain individual, they're being targeted. There was a time when I tried to start a I tried to start a faceless YouTube channel using an artificial intelligence voice, because I suspected that YouTube was targeting me as a person, recognizing my voice and my face. So I wanted to go faceless. I decided to stop doing that nonsense because the Lord showed me it's pointless, because He's going to recover that crazy country that is America to reason and ration, to not target individual people until they get busted. Because what they're doing is clandestine. It's under the table. It's under wraps. You understand? Nobody's supposed to know. But people are going to pick it up because they're going to notice that it's not just their Christian YouTube channel or their gossip channel on celebrity content, or their news channel where they are covering the war in West Asia that is being targeted. But even when they've got a separate channel where they're just showing you digital equipment and commenting on this camera and this cell phone, and even there they're followed around. That's what America's doing right now to people. They're targeting individuals because they're trying to scrape out certain people, because we're dangerous to them. In what sense are we dangerous? We can indeed be smothered and shadow banned on a YouTube channel, but we can still speak to a colleague right next to us. We can still speak to a neighbor. We can still speak to, like the dude in the park. So, however, when people, how many of you, when you talk to a hobo, award them respect? Very few people do. You don't talk very seriously with them, actually imagining that you can take what they say and run with it. Because to you, it's like, if you're this poor, what in the world is of value about what you gotta say? So you take everything that they say with a pinch of salt, no matter how intelligent they are. That's what's been happening with me. I'm so poverty-stricken that no matter how compelling what I'm speaking is, people are inclined to just ignore me because I have no money. I don't have my own place. I'm poverty-stricken. I'm also very abused. And my conditions are making them underestimate the living daylights out of me. If I had a better lifestyle, I would be better heard. So they have made these observations. And as intelligent, as gifted, and as wicked within that giftedness that they are, they recognize that if you can impoverish a people, you will make their voices get smothered. You will de-amplify their voices. That no matter what comes out of their mouth, nobody will heed them because they're poor. So the whole strategy is to impoverish people with a certain mindset, so that even when they speak, nobody will be inclined to listen. That is unfortunately the world that we live in. People are given value based on not so much true value, but perceived value, and that is monetary value. So dumb people are getting listened to, or people with dumb ideologies or dumb ideas are getting listened to, purely because they have a lot of money, and vice versa. Individuals that ought to be heard are not being heard because they're in poverty, they're struggling, they're in squalor. And so to keep them in squalor is to smother their voices ever more. Therefore, they target individuals that they imagine could be a problem. and they try to keep them in poverty. It is a global freaking dirty experiment. Do you understand? And so therefore they will target you not only in your YouTube channel where you're talking about Jesus, but they will follow you all the way to your pastry ministry, your not ministry but your pastry channel where you are making puff pastry, where you're making cheesecakes, and they will shadow ban that just because it belongs to Karabo, just because it belongs to you, in order to make sure that you can monetize and therefore make a whole bunch of money, have a source of income coming from somewhere, even though ministry is struggling. So yeah, that's what's happening. They have doubled down, thank you, on Christians across all things that they're doing. And they're identifying us by facial recognition and by voice recognition. Our footprints, everywhere where we go, everything we touch, it appears to be falling apart. So of course, I'm not going to get a job in this country. And the thing that America is doing with the strategy in trying to proliferate the beast system, they're gonna wake up and realize too soon. We quickly want to rush this in, but we can't do it at this scale, because if enough people find out this is what's going on, there will be a backlash against us that we won't be able to recover from. So they're gonna let people's pastry channels go. They're gonna let people's football channels go, sporting channels, travel channels. They're gonna let people do what they want to do elsewhere, but they will still double down on truth channels. So I have, because of this counsel that God gave me, I have myself gone on right ahead to counsel also other Christians, if at all they were prepared to listen to me, saying to them, I see your channel is growing, especially if they're growing. When for instance, let me just move to the next part.